Yo, what is up guys, and welcome to another Honkai Star Rail video. Alright, so it's time for another free-to-play account overview, and unfortunately, this time I am quite disappointed with the progression I've made in Memory of Chaos, along with all the mistakes I've made within the last 2 weeks of playing Honkai Star Rail. So I'm gonna have a screenshot pop up here shortly, and as you can see, it's a screenshot of my progression in the last season of Memory of Chaos. And as you can clearly see, there's only 50 minutes left before the reset. So I was pretty much up until 3 a.m. trying to clear out the Memory of Chaos. And I was just way too tired to do a recording, so I just figured I'd take a screenshot and go from there. And I was only able to get up to 19 stars for last seasons of Memory of Chaos. My initial goal was to try and get 21 stars. However, after attempting floor 9 multiple times, the main issue I had was I did not have enough damage to clear the stage within the 40 turns. Surprisingly enough, I actually had enough survivability. None of my characters died, although one of my DPS did die one time, but Bailu revived him, so we're not really going to count that. But basically, both my teams were able to survive the 40 turns. The only issue was I was not able to kill the final boss, which I believe was Cocolia. She was left with around 40 to 50% HP. And the main reason why I believe my teams didn't do enough damage, other than the fact that I have crappy gear, is because the buff for the Memory of Chaos was actually changed last season. Before we had a buff to the Erudition and Hunt paths, they both would get a damage boost as well as advance forward their action by 100% at the beginning of the round. Instead, now with the new buff, it applies a memory imprint to all enemies at the beginning of each cycle, and for each other debuff currently applied on the enemy, it'll also apply an extra stack of that memory imprint to that enemy. For each of these stacks, the target's damage dealt will be reduced by 4% up to a maximum of 5 stacks. This effect, of course, lasts until the start of the next cycle. So basically, compared to the first 2 seasons that I've recorded videos on for the Memory of Chaos, we're losing out on a lot of damage. This is more of a defensive buff for the Memory of Chaos. And what I was basically noticing was that my Dan Hung, not so much my Zeeley, because my Zeeley is built fairly well. She really isn't the issue. Currently, it's my Dan Hung, who is currently the one that's not dishing out enough damage for me to clear the Memory of Chaos within a certain amount of turns. On top of that, I currently don't have my Silver Wolf built up optimally, or built up well enough to use in the Memory of Chaos, but I believe those were the main factors why my progression in the Memory of Chaos wasn't as well as I expected it to be. In summary, the issue this time around was not having enough damage, but having enough survivability. Alright, now let's go over my characters and their gear. Starting off with March 7th, who is actually one of the characters I decided to ignore and not ascend to 6-star. I tried to ascend all my characters that I was currently using in the Memory of Chaos, all 8 of my characters, to 6-star, except for March 7th, because I figured either March 7th or the Fire Trailblazer was going to get replaced by Silver Wolf in order for me to deal more DPS. And since the Fire Trailblazer gets their Ascension material basically for free, I figured I'd choose him over March 7th. Eventually, at some point, I will ascend her to 6-star, but probably not anytime in the near future. Alright, these are her stats. Wish she had more speed, but it is what it is. This is her light cone, Moment of Victory. I decided not to upgrade this to 6-star either. Currently sitting at 5-star. I will upgrade it eventually, however. I have not put much investment into her skills, as I really don't see the need to, because her shield currently is able to protect my allies from pretty much anything. Once it comes to a point where the enemies are actually able to pierce through her impenetrable shield, then I'll probably decide to put more points into it, but currently I don't see the need to. I will eventually invest into her third major trace, as her base chance for freezing on her ultimate is basically laughable. 50% is essentially a coin flip. Even with effect hit rate, it's still not a very consistent chance. So this third major trace will definitely be very useful in that part. These are her relics. I actually don't think there's any change to any of her relic pieces. They are all roughly about the same. Maybe I upgraded 1 or 2 of them, but yeah, they're pretty much the same as they were before from my previous account overview. Eidolons, of course, you guys already know, she's at Eidolon 6 due to the Jingyuan banner. Alright, now moving on to Bailu. Ascended her to 6-star, kept her at level 70 as I ran out of EXP material. Yeah, that's another issue here. When I was upgrading my characters, I actually ran out of EXP material completely for the very first time. That is why I've been grinding the mobs in the overworld pretty much every day. These are her stats, quite a bit of HP, quite chunky. Also like her speed, she is quite fast now, so she's generating a lot of skill points for my carries. I would like more effect resist, as I am using that light cone that has more outgoing healing buff the more effect resist you have, but I'm sure we'll get more later on when we improve our relics. These are her traces. Haven't had the time or resources to invest into them. I would like to get her ultimate maxed out, as well as invest into her third major trace. However, I'm currently stuck on other characters, as well as trying to build up Silverwolf, so resources are low and priorities are not allowing me to invest into Bailu as of yet. These are her relics. I believe her relics are roughly the same as well. I just only upgraded a few of them. I got her headpiece to plus 15, and I believe I got her chest piece from plus 9 to plus 12. Yeah, I plus 15 her headpiece because the substats are essentially perfect. It's got HP percent, it's got speed and effect resist. And the rolls are actually really freaking good. Look at this. It went into speed, I believe, twice, HP once, and I believe effect resist was the fourth stat that it rolled. And it did not roll a single point into flat defense. So this piece is definitely going to be a end game piece for any healer that I plan on using. This is her glove piece. Bit too many rolls into effect hit rate. Not sure who this is going to be useful on in the future. Probably going to get replaced later on. This is her chest piece. It's outgoing healing boost, good on pretty much any healer. Rolled a bit too many times into attack. I guess the game is telling me to pull Luocha, but I'm still probably going to skip him. But yeah, this piece would basically be perfect for Luocha, as he scales with attack for his healing. Unfortunately, Bailu does not benefit from this as much. Boots, she's still using purple musketeer boots at plus 9. Hopefully I get a pair of orange tier speed boots, but those are pretty rare. I have not gotten a single piece yet. I believe this is the same planar sphere, HP percent, with really bad substats, so just keeping it as a temporary piece. Oh, I actually believe this is a new link rope that I got for Bailu, and the substats were pretty good until it rolled on to attack, and of course she does not have any Eidolons. Next, we take a look at Serval. I actually used up all my EXP material trying to level her up. I only got her to around level 74, and then she recently got level 75 after grinding a couple of mobs. These are her stats. I'll show you guys later, I basically finally got her crit rate to above 50%, which is still not good, but it's better than below 50%, to say the least. Her light cone is of course the seriousness of breakfast. I got to super imposition level 4 recently, and maxed it out at level 80. Unfortunately, her traces are the same. I haven't had the time or resources to invest into them yet. As for her relics, I believe they're all the same as well. The only difference is I upgraded her headpiece to plus 15, which doesn't really do much for her, but I believe the substats were really good. That was the only reason why I decided to do that. Yep, the substats on this headpiece are basically perfect. The rolls could have been a little bit better. I mean, it did go into crit rate once or twice, I believe. Most of it went into effect hit rate, which is actually useful on Serval, so I'm not complaining, but for most DPSs, it would have preferred the rolls to roll into crit rate and attack, maybe even break effect. But in general, this headpiece is really good on Serval, and that's the main reason why I got it to plus 15. These are her gloves, or I guess bracelet, handpiece, whatever you want to call it. Substats are okay. It's got speed and crit rate, rolled a couple times into speed. I don't think I plan on getting this to plus 15. I'll probably just wait for a better pair of hands for Serval, and eventually I'll probably end up replacing this. Oh wait, actually never mind, this is a new piece on Serval. Beforehand, she had a attack percent chest piece. Now she has a crit rate chest piece for the musketeer set. Unfortunately, the rolls weren't the greatest. Basically, it's a 50-50. Either I'm going to get attack percent or speed. Otherwise, the other rolls will just go into defense. So I'm probably not going to roll any further for this piece, unfortunately. It is a good temporary crit rate piece, however, first of all. These are the speed boots I had on Serval before. Don't plan on upgrading it any further, as the substats are pretty terrible. This is the same lightning damage boost planar sphere she had before, paired along with the attack percent link rope to complete the space sealing station set. Of course, no Elons for Serval. I wish I did have them though, but it is what it is. Alright, on to Silverwolf, who I was actually planning on building. However, by the time I finished up all the other characters that I needed for my Memory of Chaos team, I only had like about 2.5 days, and I did some calculations. I was not going to be able to finish her within time or have her built up to a optimal level for her to be usable in the Memory of Chaos. So I decided to spend those last 2.5 days grinding out my trace material for both my main DPS characters, which would be Dan Heng and Zealite. But I definitely do plan on building up Silverwolf before the end of the next season of Memory of Chaos. She's currently level 45. Most of the EXP is from grinding the overworld mobs on a daily basis. As for her light cone, I did try to upgrade it halfway through, Then I soon realized that I was going to run out of Lycone EXP material, so I stopped. Yeah, it's been pretty rough. This was probably one of the mistakes I did, was trying to upgrade her Lycone, when I wasn't sure that I was 100% able to upgrade my Silver Wolf to a optimal level. Alright, moving on to my Zile, who I probably put the most time and investment into during the last 2 weeks. These are her stats. I got her crit rate up to 77.3%, which is really nice. Now she's doing a lot more consistent damage than before. Light Cone, of course, is cruising in the Stellar Sea at Super Imposition level 5. I also finally got it max upgraded to level 80. For her traces, I tried working on them, but here's another major mistake I made. For sure, I was going to get her ultimate and skill to level 9. However, for some reason, I even told myself, no, this is going to cost way too much of this purple gray trace material. It cost 14 to max upgrade any of her skills to level 10. So I was doing multiple runs of the Hunt Trace material, and I somehow managed to grind up to like 16 or 17 of these purple grade Hunt Trace materials. However, I only had about a day left before the Memory of Chaos was about to reset. And at the time, I thought it would be a good idea, for some reason, to max level her ultimate, which, I mean, her ultimate is the strongest part of her kit, but that's not the issue here. It cost me 14 of these purple gray trace materials. And my Zile at that point was already doing enough damage to where she was able to clear out the first half of the floor within 1 to 2 cycles. So putting that extra point into her ultimate didn't really do much for me when it came to finishing the entire floor within a certain amount of cycles. Because what ended up happening was my Zile was clearing the first half really fast. However, once I got to the second half of the floor, my Dan Heng was not doing nearly enough damage for me to actually finish the stage within the certain amount of cycles to either get 2 stars or even just completing the entire floor in itself when it came down to floor 9. So what I believe I should have done was taken some of those trace materials that I got, the 16 or 17 I had, and instead funneled it into Dan Heng's ultimate and skill. Eventually, I did get Dan Heng's ultimate to level 9, I believe, but I was unable to get his skill to level 9 before the Memory of Chaos season ended. So that just goes to show you, even I make mistakes. But oh well, hopefully you guys can learn from the errors that I've made and optimize your teams and characters better. Okay, now we move on to her relics. I believe she got 1 new relic piece. I'm not sure which one it was. However, I did pump up a lot of her relics to plus 15, and most of them were worth it as the substats were quite amazing. Let's start off with her headpiece. Yeah, as you can see, her headpiece is quite good. It's got attack percent, speed, and crit rate, all of which she wants. Most of it rolled into attack percent, which honestly is a pretty good substat to roll into. Would have preferred the crit rate. 1 or 2 in the speed would have been okay. You don't want too much speed on your Zile. But yeah, definitely not bad rolls overall. Completely dodged out on the HP percent. And these are pretty much perfect gloves for Zile. You could argue maybe replace the break effect for speed, but other than that, it is pretty solid. And the rolls were really good as well. The chest piece is crit rate with really good substats overall. She doesn't use the effect hit rate, but eventually I could probably put this on someone like my Serval, who can use the effect hit rate, and then this piece basically becomes god tier. I believe these are the same boots I had on Zile before. They may have been on Dan Heng, and I might have switched them around. Either way, not much of an upgrade. They're staying at plus 9. She still has the quantum damage boost planar sphere on an offset. Definitely looking for a better replacement in the future. Oh, and she did get a new link rope. A attack percent link rope for the Fleet of the Ageless set. Initially, the substats did look great overall. Effect resist is pretty much the only substat that was unwanted. Unfortunately, it did roll into the effect resist substat at least twice by the time I got it to plus 15. A little bit unfortunate, and this is probably not going to be a super endgame piece, even though it's already at plus 15. But I can see this being put on my DPS characters as a temporary piece or a off piece for a very long time. And of course, no Eidolons for Zile. Okay, now we move on to Dan Heng, who I probably neglected a bit too much. These are his stats. Slight improvement to his crit rate from before. He only had around 51-52%. Still not good enough, in my opinion, however. For his light cone, I got to level 80, quite unwillingly, however, since I don't believe this light cone is that great. But unfortunately, I don't really have any other options available. The only other option I have is the free-to-play one, which would be this one, River Flows in Spring. But I just don't like the fact that I have to keep my Hunt character from being hit or taking damage. I don't have Japard either, so this light cone just isn't my cup of tea. Statistically though, if you're able to keep this buff active, it is definitely better than the current Lycone I have, especially since you can superimpose it so easily. These are his traces, which I probably should have put more investment into, but like I stated before, with the mistake I've made, I didn't have the time or resources to do so. It probably was a good idea to max out Dan Hung's ultimate rather than Zile's, as it does cost quite a bit less trace material and credits overall. I probably should have gotten his skill to level 9 as well. Had I not made that mistake with over-investing in a Zile, I believe Dan Hung's damage output would have been a lot greater than what it currently is. And out of pure desperations, literally hours before the Memory of Chaos was about to end, I decided to upgrade his talent because it was cheaper. It cost less trace material to level 8 for the extra 2% wind resist penetration. I don't think it made any difference at all, so I'm starting to regret this investment as well. Yeah, definitely miscalculated along the way. Hopefully I don't make the same mistake for the next season of Memory of Chaos. These are his relics. I believe he got a slight upgrade to his gloves and maybe headpiece. Oh, he got an upgrade to his link rope for sure. And his planar sphere, now that I remember. He was using a purple planar sphere before, which was probably a reason why he was doing so little damage in the first place. Headpiece is really good overall. Generally, I just have really good musketeer headpieces for some reason. As you can see here, I have 4 of them at plus 15, just because of the amazing substats they have. The gloves are decent, by no means perfect. It's lacking speed, and the effect hit rate is only good on certain characters, and it definitely rolled a little bit too much into effect hit rate. This is the chest piece he had before, that's crit rate on a offset, with pretty good substats overall. The attack percent and crit rate rolls are really nice, break effect's not bad. He just has crappy attack percent boots that are a temporary piece. It's got good crit rate and crit damage, that's pretty much it. He got a slight boost when it comes to his planar sphere. Before, he was using a purple wind damage boost planar sphere. It did have crit rate, however, but it was only like 2 point something percent. So I decided this 5-star piece is probably better because he gets more attack percent from the substats, as you can see. Some effect hit rate, a little bit extra durability, and the overall wind damage boost will be slightly improved. This link rope was actually initially on my Zile. However, that other link rope that I got, I decided was probably better overall, so I decided to slot it onto my Zile. And I gave Dan Hung the hand-me-down, essentially. Overall, it's not a bad link rope. It's got speed and crit rate in the substats and crit rate on a crit rate set. I mean, it's usable. I can probably slot this onto my DPS characters for a pretty long time. And of course, for his Eidolons, he's at Eidolon 3. No change from before. Next, let's talk about the Fire Trailblazer. I got him to Ascension level 6, mainly because his Ascension material here you get for free as you level up your Trailblazer level. These are his stats. Got him to be a little bit faster than before. He's no longer the super slow tank that he used to be. Speed of 126, which still is relatively slow for someone who's running plus 15 speed boots, but it is what it is. His Lycone is still the same, day 1 of my new life. Still currently at level 70, 5-star. So not much of an upgrade for him there. I didn't touch his traces yet. Don't have the time or resources, so they're still basically the same. Oh, here we go. I just realized here's another mistake I made. By the way, these are his relics. Headpiece is at plus 12. Substats are okay, lacking speed. Same as before, I don't think I upgraded this piece. His hands are the same as well. I don't think I upgraded it. Maybe it was at plus 3 and I got it to plus 6 just for a little extra damage and maybe some luck into the defense percent. Chest piece is still the same. Defense percent at plus 9. Boots still the same. The plus 15 boots that I always nag you guys about. I believe this is a different planar sphere. The one I had before definitely did not have speed. So I got a new planar sphere with 2 extra speed. Really not much of a difference in my opinion. Alright, and this is where I made my huge mistake. I got a new link rope for him, a defense percent one with the Fleet of the Ageless set. Now the substats, they're not bad. It's got HP percent, it's got speed, and he has decent attack scaling on his ultimate and skills overall. The issue here is, I did not need to get this link rope to plus 15. I think it was just late at night, I was tired, I was busy upgrading all my other relics, I worked on my damage dealers first, so I think I was still in that mindset where if I see a good relic piece with good substats, I was just going to plus 15 it no matter what. But in reality, what I should have done was probably stop at around plus 9 or plus 12 for this link rope. Eventually, I'd probably get it to plus 15, just for the extra defense. But like I said before, survivability wasn't one of the issues I had for this season of Memory of Chaos, or the last season of Memory of Chaos. And I didn't really realize this mistake until I actually plus 15 this relic piece. I was like, oh, wait, this is my tank. I probably shouldn't have done this, and it was probably a completely unnecessary investment at the time. But oh well, what's done is done. Overall, the rolls were okay. It went once into speed, once into attack. I believe once into HP, and then twice into flat HP. So kind of here and there. It'll probably be useful as an endgame piece no matter what, for any tank or defensive support. As for his Eidolons, he's still at Eidolon 5. It will pretty much remain unchanged until we get a new story, or main story quest in patch 1.2. Alright, now let's talk about Natasha. Got her to 6-star Ascended, as she's my second healer, and I need to for the second team of my Memory of Chaos team. These are her stats overall. I don't really think there's much change. Maybe she got a little bit more HP. Her speed is still the same as before. For her Light Cone, she's still using Post-Op Conversation. I got it to level 75-star before it was only at level 60. So she's got a little bit extra durability there. Her traces are the same. I did want to get her ultimate to level 9, but once again, the time and resources, I was lacking in that front. For her relics, I believe they are relatively the same. I don't believe she got any upgrades overall. She has a pretty decent headpiece. Once again, for all these healer relics, for some reason, I don't know why, they all roll into attack percent. I swear, the game is literally telling me to pull Luocha. I'm not going to. Game, stop it. Stop it right now. For the hands, I actually believe this was at +0. I don't know why I decided to upgrade it to +6 for some reason. I guess the extra damage, or maybe I thought the substats were okay. It did roll into HP once, so it's okay, I guess, but I mean, it's a small investment. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. She still has the same chest piece, a outgoing healing boost purple piece for the Wanderer Cloud set. For her boots, she's still using the speed boots for the Passerby of Wandering Cloud set. It's a really good pair of speed boots for any healer. However, the set is okay. I'd rather have Musketeer set. So I'm not sure if I'm ever going to get these boots to +15 in the future. But for now, it's good enough for Natasha. She's using the same Planar Sphere, HP percent, with really good substats but terrible rolls. So I'm probably going to stop upgrading this overall. And Link Rope is the same as well, HP percent, for a 2-piece Fleet of the Ageless set. And finally, for her Eidolon, she's at Eidolon 2. Alright, now let's finally take a look at my Ting Young. I ascended her to 6-star as well. These are her stats. Light Cone is still the same, past and future. I actually didn't get a chance to upgrade it. Nor was I planning to. I actually believe my plan was to upgrade Dance 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 to level 70, ascended to 5-star. But as I stated before, I ran out of Light Cone material or EXP material, so I just had to settle for a level 60 past and future Light Cone. Her traces are the same, didn't put any investment into it, nor do I plan on doing so anytime in the near future. There's just too many other characters that I'm currently focusing on. Here are her relics. She did get quite a bit of an upgrade to some of her pieces, which I'll be going over here shortly. This is her headpiece. Kinda wish I had speed, but I do appreciate the HP and defense to keep her alive more often. Her hand or gloves, I believe, were just a hand-me-down from one of my DPS characters. I got it to +12 just for the little bit of extra flat attack, and luckily it did roll into defense percent, which is the stat I preferred over the other stats. Her chest piece as well, I believe, was also a hand-me-down from one of my DPS characters. It was probably Serval, so a little bit of an upgrade for Ting Young as well there. She's using the same Purple Musketeer speed boots. I believe her Planar Sphere is also the same as well. And this is where she got her major upgrade. I finally got a pretty decent energy regeneration Link Rope. Granted, the set is not the greatest. I guess it's okay on Ting Young, since she does have attack scaling in her kit. And the substat rolls, I believe, were pretty decent overall. It went into speed once, attack percent twice, and I believe effect hit rate once as well. Effect resist was the 4th stat that I rolled on +3. So now with this energy regeneration Link Rope, I can definitely feel that my Ting Young is able to cycle through her ultimate more frequently than before. And finally, for her Eidolons, as depressing as it is, she's at Eidolon 0. Okay guys, well that's gonna be it for this Honkai Star Rail video. Hopefully I'm able to perform better in this current season of Memory of Chaos. And if you guys have anything to add, please let me know in the comments below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, or join if you wish to support my channel even further. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next Honkai Star Rail video. Peace.